Hello and welcome to the Nattercast for Game of Thrones, episode 406, entitled The Laws of God and Man. Gods and Men. Gods and Men? God and Man. The lawns. Lawns of gods and men.
The lawns.
Of gods and
They're
men.
impeccably manicured.
Yes.
I mow my own lawn.
I like mowing my lawn.
I thought the lawn thing
That's
was
True Detective. Yeah, it is. Do the Woody Harrelson again. It's so great.
I like mowing my lawn. My name is Jason Schenkel, Schenkel Studios, and we are here to natter at you tonight about Game of Thrones, episode 406. Directed by Alex Zakharov, written by Brian Cogman, and cinematography was by Fabian Wagner, all of whom have just done a bunch of cool TV, like some Sherlocks and some games and all that other kind of stuff. Our contact information, you can reach us at www.nattercast.com and send us email at nattercast@gmail.com. But where the real party for us is on Facebook. Go to Facebook and search for us. You'll find a page and a group. We would love it if you could like the page and join the group and come and join our conversations about all kinds of TV shows. And if you are listening to us on iTunes especially, but any of the other iTunes-like services, please give us a nice thumbs up rating, 5-star rating, and a little review and anything else like that, because all of the little reviews that we get and things like that add up, and that's how we get more visibility and the audience grows. So if you're listening right now, even if you don't listen to us on iTunes, because I listen to a lot of podcasts and I don't listen to them on iTunes, but I'll go to iTunes and give them a rating there just because, and it's a nice thing to do. It's the right thing to do, and it'll help us out.
And our little spin-off group for this show.
A little spin-off group for
Did
this.
you say that?
Oh no! So we have spin-off groups as well. I can't stop watching Game of Thrones, where people are talking very exclusively about Game of Thrones.
And I can't stop watching True Detective if you have that problem, because I certainly did for a while.
And we got the idea for the group name from Sion.
Because I just stood there in front of the TV.
Watching.
I'm like, let's just keep. We just re-loop it. Let's go.
Re-loop it.
I go. I can't stop watching this True Detective.
True Detective.
So yeah.
And we're here tonight with the limited small council. We have Sion, Danielle, Alan, and myself.
But Tyrion is here.
Molly and Shane are on assignment, as they say. And we're doing a delay of cast because a climate note, man, it was warm here yesterday. We're like, there's no way we're putting everybody on the highway.
Yeah, I just thought you
about
guys
it.
coming over the bridges and up the. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
that
Sion
would
suggested, like,
so
you're
mean.
so right. That's so mean. It wasn't. It was better today. It was like just a warm.
It's
day
fine
today.
now.
Yeah. So, but okay. So that's about it. I don't have any other business before we kind of jump into the show.
Yeah, that's just the ultimate first world problem.
What?
I had to delay my podcast because it hit mid-90s.
Yes.
I had to.
And
do
my air
podcast.
conditioned car experience over the bridge was just not exactly what I was.
It would
up
really
for.
hit my gas mileage.
Hey, we don't have air conditioning in the house, man. We are primitive people.
You are.
That's
But
right.
we usually don't need
So-
it. That's which is nice.
Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, before we get into the recap, let's get a little listener feedback on the episode from Miss Sion.
All right. First, Von Carl Brown. My main feedback is more trial, less everything else. Dinklage killed it, and everyone else was excellent in support. Jamie, Tywin, Cersei, Shay, even the spectators. The rest of the episode was meh, especially in comparison. On the edge of my seat for the trial part, and left me wanting more. Free Tyrion! It's always funny to say that stuff when I say that name, because our little Tyrion's on my lap right now, and he gets all excited hearing his name.
Yes. He gets really excited during the podcast. He's going to get really excited tonight because it's all
Because
Tyrion.
it's all Tyrion tonight, honey.
Yeah. He keeps looking for his
He
treat.
says, don't you guys have more pizza here?
Yeah.
Someone new, yay. Melissa Skeen-Setzer. I thought this was the best episode of the season and in the top 5 of the whole series.
Wow.
I love episodes that are heavy on character development. I don't need heavy action. I was completely enthralled by the trial. Shay's testimony. Jamie's scenes with Tywin and Tyrion. And Peter Dinklage was a master at his craft. The only part... Tyrion is just like munching the air now. The only part I didn't love was the Bolton bastard. Poor Theon Reek. And Yara giving up so easily. Can't wait to see how all this progresses. Here's a question, because I only watched the episode once. Did Yara give up? I thought they said that we have to take
Yeah, he's
when they're
referring.
in the bath scene, I thought it was like they had to retake their place back because
No.
Yara had taken over.
They want. I believe they want to take the Iron Islands. Is that right? Or no?
They're going off to take. There's a strategic fort on the isthmus between the north and the south. And
Is that the choke point they don't have?
Yeah, basically the choke point there. And
right. Okay.
Right now it's held by the Iron Islanders, but not Yara's Iron. Just
right.
Like their dads. So that's what they're going to get Theon to do.
Yeah,
and I do believe Yara left him because he was just gone. Right. That's why she says my brother is dead.
He's a loss.
Right. We'll get into it when we get to my thing, but I think she still should have bagged him because even if he's gone, you don't want to leave him in that condition with.
Yeah, I mean it was a little bit anticlimactic that she got run off by dogs. But
run away.
But we do know that Ramsay likes running people down, so I don't think Ramsay's done chasing her.
No,
I think he's just letting
be.
her get a safe distance, or what she thinks is a safe distance.
She's going to be sent to defend the point. Well, this is my section of the recap,
Sorry.
and we're already blowing it off.
You've got another section now.
That's true.
I've got somebody else new here. Josh White. Lady Erin in season 4 is freaking cuckoo, dude. She reminds me of the Joker in Dark Knight.
Why so serious?
And Stephanie Brown Anderson. Bravos looks so badass, and the architecture of the bank is just perfect. Looks like the Wells Fargo I used to go to on Market SF in San Francisco. It does, actually. Stannis always has the best expressions. He looks like how I feel at work. As a math major and a professional budget analyst, I can really get down on Tycho Nestoris' way of thinking. The story is all told in the numbers. Yara's voice is so damn sexy. I do not love the bath scene. I don't get what Varys was getting at when he answered Tyrion's questions, that frankly he never forgets a thing. I'm lost to the spirit of his answer.
We'll say, I think it'll unfold as we see it.
Michael Mesmer. As someone who just started book 4 and thus has read past the trial and its resolution, I can say that the alleged histrionics of the latest TV episode were matched and even exceeded by the text. But isn't that what we like?
I guess. I do feel like the trial was that very good matchup between show and book.
Yes.
Yeah, it just felt like they really nailed the book and just did it the way you would do it, without having to make a lot of changes.
They've had a tendency to hit the feel on most of the big scenes.
Yeah, but things like Blackwater, they had to change it a lot.
Right.
That kind of
still
thing,
got the
for the practicality,
vibe,
the vibe. But this was like like it was a play or something.
Mm-hmm.
So much of that was just everyone's facial expressions that really sold that.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's dive into the recap here. We're starting with me today, and we open up with Davos at Bravos with Stanos.
Watching Manos.
Watching Manos.
Hands of Fate.
Yes.
Stanos the Manos. And they have decided they're desperate enough to try to borrow some money from the Iron Bank, or at least get them to stop loaning money to the Lannisters, I guess, whichever adds up to the biggest advantage. And we get to see Bravos. And Stephanie was right there. I mean, that model was quite something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's neat that we got to see it so early.
Yeah.
Right.
But this really was a big. We were saying a little bit before the cast. It's like it's kind of a thankless role. It's like here's like Dinklage's huge monologue is going to end this episode, and here's Ser Davos. I think gave a fantastic speech, and I got a little bit of the audio here for that. So let's play that.
He's an honest man, and he's your best chance to get back the money you've sunk into Westeros, which is a lot, I imagine.
Wars are expensive.
The war is over.
As long as Stannis lives, the war is not over. Who's the real power in King's Landing?
Sir Davos.
Humour me.
Tywin Lannister.
How old is Tywin Lannister?
67.
67, and when he dies, who's in command? A half-grown boy, the product of incest. Cersei Lannister, a queen whose people despise her. Jaime Lannister, a man best known for killing the king he was sworn to protect. When Tywin's gone, who do you back?
That is a problem for another time.
Begging your pardon, I think it's a problem for now. There's only one reliable leader left in Westeros. Stannis. He's got the birthright. He's in his prime. He's a tried and tested battle commander, and he doesn't just talk about paying people back, he does it.
So yeah, I thought I want to, because this is there's this whole thing of like, well, Dinklage really pulled for the Emmy and everything else, and I think he did, but we have to take a moment for Sir Davos on this. That was a great Stannis, support speech. I really like the role that Iron Bank is taking in the story. It's a little bit, in my experience with the book, it's a little bit more explicit of a thing where the financing of all this lunacy is who's paying for the party starts to become a thing.
Right.
And I think I also like how we're really building up this idea and we see this a little bit in Daenerys' story and with the Tommen, the Lannister disaster and all this other kind of stuff, is that Stannis is the guy he's crazy and he's sticking his dick in all kinds of crazy, but but he's doing king things. He's like trying to figure out how to do king things that isn't just Tywin taking over to get power things. It's like, how do you govern? How do you rule? How do you be stable? And the bank says, be sustainable.
Yeah. Have an income. Have you heard of these things?
Grow some stuff.
Well, the
I
Lannisters
feel like
don't
he's
have
like an unemployed 20-year-old applying for a credit card at the bank.
Or like the underwear gnomes from South Park.
That's right.
With their little .com idea. That's just profit.
Just profit.
I just I love it when the show manages to get things that are really, really relevant to modern day random life.
Yes.
But not make it feel anachronistic. Like,
Right.
I've read my fair share of fantasy, and usually when they bring in banking systems, you're just like, please stop. Like, one, you obviously don't actually understand finance, and two, the system you've put in is like so it does not feel right. Like, it's this weird aside. But this one,
We used to cast the Borgias along with this podcast
Oh,
because
yeah.
there was so much parallel, and one of them
Yeah,
was
there would often be incest or
incest
rape
and war, and all
and
at the
the
same
same
stuff was
episodes.
happening in both episodes.
And because the
Let's
owner's
compare
obsessed
torture.
with one of the characters.
Yeah, but I would have loved to have seen Lucretia Borgia here, because a big part of the Borgias was that she was learning double entry bookkeeping. That was like a major plot device. It was like, she knows how to do bookkeeping, which was invented like the year she was born. It was like, it was a very new
But
invention.
there's nothing quite so riveting as accounting.
No.
But I loved it because you've got Davos here, and he actually does a wonderful sell job that is relevant to today. He knows Stannis is screwed from a probability of taking the throne standpoint, but he sells in the like, well, you never know, and if he does, this is actually the dude that's going to pay you back. Like you've got two parts of this: one, the likelihood that he'll be in a position to pay you back, and two, the likelihood he'll actually follow through on his word.
Right.
And it's like, column A, you're right, we're not the best horse in the race, but column B, it's like 100% because he chopped my fingers off.
Right.
Which is a wonderful.
And the
visual
idea behind the
device.
money is that it'll help us get a better shot at taking the
Right,
throne.
exactly.
So we can work with you in what you think is a strategy.
And what are you going to do with that money? Well, I'm going to give it to a sex pirate.
That's right.
sex pirate.
Well, that is the second part of this scene.
That should be your new band name.
Sex pirates. It definitely should be a band name.
Yeah.
The second part of the scene is we come into the bathhouse and Salador is there. Salador. With his ladies, and he's telling the joke, and it's like, I know this. Everyone knows this
Everyone.
joke. You know the minute you hear the one intro line.
There are 4-year-olds who repeat this joke.
Yes. Bring me my red shirt. Bring me my red shirt. Bring my brown pants.
I'm just guessing Brian Cogman has like a kindergartner at home.
Yeah, I thought that the girl who jumped on those line, you didn't quite hear her say it right. I think they could have gotten a better bit of audio in there for for that, because I had to did she say the right line?
Right.
But I'm really glad to see him back. I mean, he's like, to me, he and Sir Davos together make this great odd couple.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, of like this, because Salador is more fun-loving. They have the same basic set of skills. Mm-hmm. And Salador is more fun-loving, and Davos is more serious-minded, or whatever.
But they can bring out the best in each
But
other.
it also points out what a dud Stannis is.
Yeah, well, but he doesn't endorse any of this. But
He
he
just
is,
stands there scowling all the time. He doesn't
he's-
really have any mojo,
Stannis is the least mojoed person in Westeros. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got lack of mojo, running through his veins. So Salador and Davos are back together. They're on a big plan. Davos is going to pay him for. It wasn't entirely clear. Is it just his ship, or does he need? Did he say what he needs him for?
I'm guessing it's going to be transport. of like an army or something, but it could be.
That's a lot of ships for a pirate. There's not. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. Or just organizing people that he knows, because he probably, you know what it is? It's probably finance. It's probably like, go find banks besides the Iron Banks. Or, you get that high interest rate credit card with the security.
We got to start paying this off tomorrow. So.
That's right. So anyway, I actually enjoying the Stannis line. Anything else on that before we move on to I'm going to do Yara and Theon before releasing everything here. So finally got my girl Yara in the game.
Yeah, you've been waiting for her.
I've been waiting for her.
She made a very serious promise like 17 episodes ago.
This is going to be awesome. She's just going to destroy or whatever. And she begins so strongly
She does.
in this. And I have a little audio on that too. So.
In the box, you'll find a special gift. Theon's favorite toy. He cried when I took it away from him. Leave the North now, or more boxes will follow with more Theon. Signed, Ramsay Snow. Natural-born son of Roose Bolton. Lord of the Dreadfort. And Warden of the North. They skinned our countrymen. And they mutilated my brother. Your prince. Your prince. Everything they've done to him, they've also done to you. As long as they can hurt our prince with impunity, the word Ironborn means nothing.
Now I gotta ask Alan something real quick before you get started. Isn't that line "natural born son"? Aren't they spoiling in the middle of the show?
No, it just means bastard.
Natural born.
Oh, natural born. I'm sorry. I was thinking of later on. Okay.
Oh, okay.
No, you may be spoiling.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know what you guys are even talking about.
I will shut up.
I'm not read this far in. So yeah. No, bastard boy. So that speech is rousing. Oh, that's my Yara, and she's got her men, and she's got her ships, and she's going to go rescue Theon.
I love also how it paralleled the same speech in Braveheart, right down to the cutaways of the enemy having sex in the middle of it.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's really a common motif when you're doing the rousing battle speech.
It's to show the decadence of
Sex
the
and violence.
enemy,
Yes.
right?
Sex and violence. Just layer them in. Squishy, squishy.
So then they bust into... this is the Dread Fort. There's not some other Dread Fort.
No, it's not very Dread.
They got in pretty quick. It's a Dread Fort with like a garage door
Didn't seem
opener.
too dreadful to get into.
Didn't seem too dreadful to get into it.
Well, the Dread may be the torture devices, so maybe it's just not very forty.
It's like a haunted house.
The Dread Hut.
Yeah. And we have a little fight with the Ironborn, and we come in and we find Theon, who is so head fucked at this point. It's like, no, don't trick me, Yara, please don't trick me. It's like you can't fool me. That's my sister.
This is not actually funny, but it's actually kind of hysterical how much Jason is enjoying this.
I'm totally enjoying it because at this point you got to get something out of the whole Theon story.
Sure.
So it's like, I'm totally loyal. Please don't do anything to me.
You look exactly like my sister, but you must be tricking me.
You must be tricking me, exactly. And then they get into a little fight with the Ironborn, and then Ramsay comes in, and we have some controversy on the blood on his body.
Right.
I think he was just eating little jam jelly cakes. He's having a little post-coital snack for the blood sugar,
Now we know how Jason likes to do it.
And oops, no, he rolled out of bed. He had to roll out of bed.
And he hit one and it exploded.
Or he hit 4 or 5 of them.
Yes.
He hit the whole package.
No,
Just
he has a little Gallagher jelly thing fetish.
Yeah.
So she has to take a
Gallagher
hammer
jelly.
and
No.
it just squirts jelly all
No,
over.
the first image I got was not her doing it. It was actually Gallagher. Or rather, like Gallagher's twin brother that took his career for a while, smashing.
Now, believe it or not, we actually have some feedback on this.
Yes.
We have a feedback
On
section.
Gallagher?
No, not on Gallagher, but on the Ramsay.
Right. Stephanie Brown Anderson says, a podcaster I listened to assumed that the blood on Ramsay's chest was Miranda's. And I thought it too.
Me too.
Yeah. That he must have killed her after sex before running down to deal with the Ironborn. I didn't get that at all. I figured he fought the Ironborn from his bedroom to kennel. That's funny, from bedroom to kennel.
Yes.
Sounds like my house. Anyone else that think he killed Miranda, and we did. And Brandy James. Ooh, somebody new. We got a lot of new people here.
Yeah, I know. It's so much fun.
Yep. There were a lot of holes in this episode. Like, how did they get the necklace and how they found Shay? I haven't read the books yet, but I can tell you that they're just throwing things together. I thought it was his blood and he was just into kinky sex, but that explains a lot, I guess. About you, Brandy.
Yeah.
Brandy, as you get to know some of us around this table, you'll realize that you have some kindred people. Philip Zierman, I assume, is the blood of a woman he raped and murdered.
More rape for the week.
She didn't look like she was being raped.
No.
In between Miranda?
And he's had her.
Looks like she was raping him.
And I've heard questions about this too. She's one of the original ones that taunted Theon right before his member
is.
got.
Yeah.
She was the person that was hunting with him.
So I mean, she's been around for a really long time.
I don't think
Why
he killed
would he
her.
suddenly kill her?
In retrospect, I think it's Ironborn blood. I think he fought his way to it.
I think that's
Yeah.
what it was intended to be, because there's definitely splatter. There's no
It looks like Ariel squirts.
and they're-
arterial
Ariel,
spray. Yeah.
I thought it was just cake.
and they're too good at that stuff for it to be badly done. Him bleeding.
Right.
It's not
yeah,
him.
it definitely,
It's definitely
did
not
not
him.
look like he was cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if they're going to
It's not
kill
from
her, they're going to
it's not
show
from
it.
fingernails.
This is Game of Thrones. If they got a chance to
No,
show
right.
Ramsay killing her right after sex, they will show that.
Yes,
Right.
of course.
Without spoiling anything from the books, he basically was a sadist who hunted, raped, and skinned women. That was what we saw in the early episodes when he shot the woman he was chasing with an arrow. So I assume any sex he had would end with the death of the woman he was with. Possibly.
Maybe
Yeah.
it depends on her status.
I think it's
in his life.
possible our readers are actually our listeners are actually overestimate how bad of a person Ramsay
I think
is.
they've just been
I
listening
didn't
to
think that was
Theon.
possible. But I think he's actually let a woman or two go alive. Maybe one or two.
I think she's just as twisted as he is in certain ways, that they're good pairing. I think people just been listening to Theon too much, so they're just expecting
Since she's the one that
a
shot the
greater
arrow.
theory, greater scene, greater...
Pat Sponagel, I have no doubt that it was not Miranda's blood. Ramsay has been fighting Ironborn. If he was going to kill Miranda, the show would not be shy about showing it. Miranda must serve a purpose on the show, and she hasn't done anything meaningful. Well, I'd say she was riding him very nicely.
Oh, yeah.
I am saying she's there for a dialogue partner with Ramsay, or a fuck buddy, so there'll be some exposition or some great tittery bouncing. I'm adding in.
Oh, bouncing
here.
boobies.
As for the necklace and Shay, Tywin had already told Cersei to have Shay brought to the Tower of the Hand after the wedding. He told her during the breakfast, so it's not a stretch that Bronn was followed, despite what he says. The necklace was on dead Dantos in the boat. Since they'd be scouring around looking for Sansa, his boat would be found with the necklace, with the missing stone and the smashed stone. I remembered that that the necklace was that
Littlefinger had it.
Littlefinger, had it.
He
Then
throws
he threw it
into
into the boat.
Oh, he did throw it, right?
On top.
Okay.
Yes.
I just think Dante's probably just washed ashore.
He's in a boat,
But yeah,
and they're also going to
eventually
search the
boat's
harbor.
gonna-
They're probably going to search the harbor.
But I mean, if they're that close to shore, eventually the boat's
The
going to
boat's
wash
going to go.
up.
We'll wash in from the tide.
Or that fog that was covering Littlefinger's
Would lift and they'll
thing.
say there's a boat
It'll
out
lift
there.
And,
Yeah.
dude, there's a boat out there.
Right,
Oh wait,
right.
there's a dead dude in there. And people are just thinking too much on certain.
There is one element more on the Ramsay thing that nobody pointed out. When you focus in on the sex scene, you find that her legs are together. She's on top, and his legs are spread apart. So I'm going to leave people with the implications of that for
You think
themselves
she
to
was
figure
wearing
out.
a strap-on, honey?
I'm just going to leave people with the implications of that. This is the Dread Fort, and things get dread sometimes. And so, check it out. Her legs are together. His are spread apart.
This is the Nattercast, where we don't talk about Theon like biting Yara's hand, but we do talk about.
We do talk about hypothetical strap-on sex, but there's no strap though. You see her hips, so there's no strap there.
How many times have you watched this episode?
Maybe she has one of
I
those.
just saw it when I was watching with the
Maybe she has one of
audio.
those double dong.
It's a good part of the
things or
episode
something.
there, Sienna.
Yeah.
It was.
There's no strap.
I thought she was doing
She's
an
not
excellent
wearing a
job.
strap on because there's no strap around her back. So there's something else going on there. She got some other kind of pumpkin down there that's making
There
an
is
invasion.
something else she could be doing.
Yeah, see, okay.
Do you want to know about it?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. She got no belt, no harness to support.
You don't need a belt or harness.
No, what do you got in there?
If you have one that goes inside your vagina.
That's what I said, a double
very
dong.
nice. A double dong. Yes,
Double dong.
okay. No,
Ding,
I
ding,
hadn't
ding, we
thought
have a
about
winner.
that. We have a winner. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need a new sigil for House
Maybe they
Bolton.
have a couple of chopped off petrified dongs that they sewed together.
Oh, boy.
Next episode, they'll have the old sex toy maker introduced.
Yeah, really.
In the
Well,
drug court.
he's chopping off enough dick. He should be able to make his own.
Yep.
Well, anyway, so
And if he skins women,
How's that for irony? He's using Theon.
it's kind of Hannibal. Yeah, that'd be really weird.
so we got
And it's in his butt.
Theon doesn't want to come along with Yara, and she just decides he's dead. And it's very. I agree with the people who wrote in. It's very. What do you call it? Monty Python. Run away! Run away! Run away!
I
Oh,
think they just saw the rabbit with the big,
big old little teeth.
And they just stood there and watched him unlock the cages instead of like smashing an axe.
Bag
to his
him.
back.
He's still a high value, even without his dick. He's still somebody who you don't want sending in. He's got information. Who knows what else? You know.
No, I mean when Ramsay was opening up the cages for the dogs,
Yeah.
he turned their back to him and he's turning the key. Why didn't they just hack his head off then?
movie.
Yeah,
Yes,
no.
it's-
Why didn't they kill Ramsay Bolton? Just
Right.
keep pushing until you kill Ramsay Bolton. Is always
Right.
the plan.
And the way the Ironborn are, I think they would have killed Theon to eliminate the embarrassment that
Yes,
he
at
was
least
ever.
kill him
Asha's
so he
not
can't be
gonna do
used.
that?
You know,
Sorry, Yara.
Yara,
Asha,
Asha,
Yara.
Yasha,
Tasha Yar.
Tasha, Yara,
For non-book readers, she's Asha in the books.
Asha in the books, but they didn't because of OSHA.
And she's Tasha Yar in my mind.
Tasha Yara.
They got way too many names.
So then, in sort of the after action report with Reek, he passes with flying colors. Very good. You were very loyal, Reek.
Yeah, that was a wonderfully creepy scene.
Ooh, so now you're going to get a reward. Yes, oh, Jesus fucking Christ! I
was waiting for that bath water to be acid or his piss.
I am
or something.
unsullied on this storyline. I have not
I
read.
like the person that put in that there's like piranhas in the.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I am really hoping that Theon is biding his time for just the right moment, just the right thing on this.
Because that
taking this
right
guy down.
moment wasn't when hold the straight
Yeah,
razor to my neck.
maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I need to be able to throw you into a river or something.
Alan and I can share a little bit more in the spoiler section.
Okay, so then we have the bath, and it sounds like Theon is going to be sending. I need you to play a role, someone who you are not. Theon Greyjoy. Is that all very clever? You're so fucking clever, you little man.
It was an amusing, creepy little bath scene, though.
Yeah, I actually don't dislike this part of the story. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's too much, it's too far," and it's like,
No.
Yeah,
I could get off on like stepping
it's
in.
too
and we'll direct
frequent
those
and
scenes.
too and varied in some places. But I think that you really need to see Theon reduced to this thing for this story to work.
Yeah, I
What,
think it's
what we need to see is someone having some really good, like normal sex, so that the creepy sex looks even creepier.
We did. We saw Lysa Aaron and Littlefinger.
We heard them.
We
heard
heard
them.
something. I didn't sound too normal.
It didn't sound normal.
It was like echoing like a dying
Pod
dog.
had apparently super normal sex.
That
Not
is
normal.
mention heat sex. I'm
See,
sorry.
but the good sex they're not showing us.
No. No, Ilaria and Oberyn, they all rolling around, big fucking party.
Oh yeah,
They
no,
weren't
the
actually
group
doing
se-
it. They were just rolling around.
that was hot.
Yeah, but
That-
there was
We
very
didn't see
little
the
actual
actual
sex.
banging.
Their stuff is all, those scenes are really
I
working
was
for
like,
me.
let's take 10 minutes in the next one for some just good hardcore.
But you have to
porn.
understand.
Oberyn's hot, and so's Ilaria. I wouldn't mind watching those two go at it. I don't care if there's men involved or chimps or dwarves.
Somewhere.
I'm ready.
Dwarfs.
Somewhere tomorrow, the showrunners are listening to our cast and they're like, damn it, I told you we should have done that 15-minute sex scene. Episode 8. God damn it.
This was a short episode. They had room for some sex.
I know. They probably had some they cut.
And in Dorne,
Hey, but
what
you know
we
what?
call second base, you call sixth base.
But what was refreshing? It was the first non-rapey episode in a while.
True.
Okay, I am going to suggest that Theon is being raped constantly.
Yes.
That Theon is one big long rape. He's in the tub. He's shaking, lurching. He's like, "You're going to get a reward. You're going to get a bath. I want you
Like
to do
he
it."
comes near and he flinches.
I understand he's not being penetrated.
In the moment.
I understand that the sexual element of it is muted at best.
All right, so he's.
You never know. Miranda might. be
I'm
doing
not
it
saying
off
there
the
wasn't
butt, too.
torture, but we didn't have. Okay, we didn't have
It's
a
up-
woman raped.
You never woman raped.
Right.
No. Well, but still, Theon
With
is one.
bouncing breath.
Theon is one
Victimization of
big
women.
rape report just walking through the.
No victimization of women sexually.
No.
Alan and
Not that
I
we
are just
saw.
looking at each other dying, giggling like little school kids.
Small victories.
Speaking of women, victorious women, we're moving on to Mr. Green and the coverage of Daenerys' story.
Speaking,
Yeah, and so Daenerys' story is kind of fun.
Alan has victorious women
I do.
segment.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just disappointing.
She wasn't drinking.
Well, I had a disappointing
Yeah.
victorious woman too. So
Exactly. Yeah, no. I mean,
women are under delivering.
this episode was sexist.
Yeah.
Our two strong
This
women.
one was.
Two strong women just kind of fizzled.
It's just exactly. Well, you know, they can't be good administrators because.
Sounds like-
I'm trying to remember how to not spike the mic.
yeah.
So I have to keep
We're trying to
covering my
improve
mouth.
our sound.
We're trying,
think we're
we're
failing
trying to
pretty
control
well.
ourselves.
You know,
and it's really hard.
It's okay. You can. I have a post filters that I'm learning how to use. You can just let it go.
And hopefully a lot of editing. So we start out with
No editing. I don't edit this shit.
no, you don't.
Do not edit.
Goat herds.
Goat herd.
Should I just go ahead
A
and
couple
scream
of
like
goat herds.
one of
we're on goat
Littlefinger?
herd. We're on goat herds.
With
We're on
like,
goat herds.
like a fuck from Littlefinger?
Honey, we're on goat herds.
We're fucking goat herds.
If you're going to talk about sex, make sure it involves
Wait a minute, we're
goats at
fucking
this
the
point.
goat herds or the goat herders?
The goats are hurting the fuck.
Well, not the goats, hopefully. Yeah.
All right. Let's get serious.
All right, we've
So
got
we're
goats,
on the goat herds.
and we've got goat herders.
Yes.
Goat herds, really. With the extra R. And Drogon rises up.
And we
That's
have
the big
apparently
black
the
dragon.
silent, invisible, hovering Drogon.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, he looks down into the cavern and he's like, "Oh, what's
How
that
did I
down
miss
there?"
that?
And then a giant freaking dragon comes out of there, which admittedly looked awesome.
Yes.
This is what I call the blue thunder effect.
Oh, that's a perfect comparison.
Yeah, which is the helicopter that doesn't make noise until you see it.
Right up to the point where Roy Scheider was actually on the
Exactly.
dragon's back.
Yes.
If you look
Exactly.
closely, he's right there,
Yeah.
looking in your window. And Drogon decides to roast every goat in sight and take one away, which is totally wasteful. And I kind
Yeah.
of feel like, really, like that's like a
That
total
was-
80s culture excess right there. But
She's the Wolf of Wall Street.
yeah, exactly. It's been hanging out with them
She's the
too
Wolf
long.
of Pentos.
The wolf.
The flying wolf.
Oh boy.
So it's a great shot, and then we cut to the throne room where Dany has apparently ensconced herself so well that she's just going to sit there and listen to people babble in the most uncomfortable situation possible, which
Yes.
is everyone else gets to stand.
I like the similarity though with the Iron Throne.
Yes.
It-
Oh, except for the room's empty.
The room's empty, but it's just like a big uncomfortable chair in the middle of a big uncomfortable room
With the worst lighting.
with the worst lighting and just don't
You're
want to
at
be
the
there all
top
day.
of a pyramid and you got like 2 slits. Like it's not like anyone's shooting an arrow in there, people. You're a little bit up. And she brings on her first petitioner, which happens to be the father goat herder, and he opens up and he's got this roasted bones of goat, which I only can assume is goats that were caught in the crossfire.
That's
Since I
some
don't think
serious
he,
horns.
yeah, he didn't really chase after the dragon. I hope, because that would be kind of dumb.
It was Miranda Lee choosing.
We don't know that this was the guy because this could be the 5th or 6th goat story she's heard this afternoon.
Well, after giving him 3 times the value of the goat, it's going to be the first of 10,000.
Yeah,
Probably.
they're gonna be passing these bones down the line.
People
saying,
are just
free
gonna be
goats,
roasting
free
goats."
goats. If you need goats, here you go. Got you good.
But,
She look-
Daenerys feeling generous, gives him 3 times the value of it, and she looks very, very pleased with herself.
Yes,
She is winning over people one person at a time.
one goat massacre at a time.
She's got him in the palm of her hands. And then a noticeably young and slightly dashing Hizdar Lorax, he speaks for the trees, comes in and has a request of her.
Oh, he has some audio on that. Okay, so here we go.
Queen Daenerys, tales of your beauty were not exaggerated.
I thank you.
Mine is one of the oldest and proudest families in Meereen.
Then it is my honor to receive you.
My father, one of Meereen's most respected and beloved citizens, oversaw the restoration and maintenance of its greatest landmarks, this pyramid included.
For that, he has my gratitude. I should be honored to meet him.
You have your grace. You crucified him.
Awkward.
I pray you will never live to see a member of your family treated so cruelly.
Your father crucified innocent children.
My father spoke out against crucifying those children. He decried it as a criminal act, but was overruled. Is it justice to answer one crime with another?
I am sorry you no longer have a father, but my treatment of the masters was no crime. You'd be wise to remember that.
So there you are.
Yeah, so
She's, this whole thing is the theme that we've been seeing. It's like she has to learn to administer. What we didn't catch there is she's got like 200 people that she's going to see all of them and hear all these petitions. And if it's like 5 minutes a petition, it's like 1,000
tomorrow
minutes.
ensure clean water. Today, listen to complaints.
Yes. So, yeah, but like you crucified my father. That's another popular.
It's another common complaint. I think what I liked about this one is it wasn't just, I mean, there's been a lot of questions that float up of like, she's sort of getting the magical ride of everyone loving her and not having to feed her people. And they actually introduced a little bit of the moral and ethical basis that, you know, Barristan was calling her out on.
Right.
I don't think the shot was close enough to see a smirk of Barristan going like, told you so, you know.
Right.
But
we saw Jorah.
Yeah,
Jorah was given an I told you so.
Yeah, exactly. So...
and I think that, and this is the thing that they keep emphasizing in the King's Landing story, which is that she has two, you know, experienced soldiers, you know, advising her, right? Mm-hmm. Two experienced like leaders and general soldiers. That she doesn't have experienced administrators.
No, in fact, you know, Barristan, there are what, like 7 Kingsguard? So he's got management experience over a whole 6 people.
Yeah.
He probably did the Kingsguard time schedule, so good for him.
Right.
But the rest of the administration kind of low on
the Monday
scale.
staff meeting.
Right. And, you know, Jorah was a slaver at one point. So, you know, he's used to moving goods and services. But other than that, probably...
No.
Yeah.
So she needs to find some administrators.
Well, the other question that came up to me on this one was... And I was thinking about this because what I also find interesting about Daenerys and likable, frankly, is she actually takes it to heart. Mm-hmm. Like, this actually hits her.
Right.
If you compare her to our modern leaders, at least publicly, there would have been no, like, the confidence level of Daenerys, like, because I was thinking about it, I'm like, you know, a lot of this story is kind of comparing these people who think they have a divine right to rule, whether dragons or Stannis or whomever, versus what we've come down with as elected leadership. But to be honest, you know, rolling the dice with like Daenerys might be better off, because I can't think of a single person out there that would actually be like, you know what, you're right.
Yes,
I was wrong to have crucified your father.
Yeah. No, I won't admit that I was wrong. I will give you 3 goats. I will give you 3 goats for your mother. This is actually interesting. It was something that I think it was Haven Perez posted in our group on it was an essayist by an international relations expert talking about international relations here. He's like, well, in real life, international relations isn't based on vows and prophecies and, you know, and personal promises and all this other kind of stuff. It's based upon a much more, you know, a practical political reality that exists in the modern world. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't true in feudal society. So it's interesting to see that, like you say, the big difference.
I think that's an idealized view of IR anyways. I do think personalities play a role.
Oh, no, it doesn't just say they're not playing a role, but you don't see people proclaiming a personal vow to, you know...
Well, I mean, except for Vladimir Putin.
But
everyone else.
Putin is playing the Game of Thrones.
That's right.
Putin is like a Stannis type
totally.
of type figure. But, yeah.
With his shirt off.
So, all right, let's...
Stephen Elaine's a little too skinny for that.
So, we gave the big lift to Miss Danielle, our resident King's Landing expert. So, let's take Tyrion and ride it on home.
So, when you first read Tyrion, the King's Guard and Jaime have come to escort him in shackles, assholes, to trial. And it's pretty obvious they must not, you know, have any access to counsel or anything like that, because he didn't even know the trial was starting that day.
Right. So much access to counsel. Get out of
like
town.
The real criminal justice.
He's like he'd have access to a piss pod.
Right. So they lead him to the throne room, and they put him in this teeny tiny wooden little pack and play. It looked like to me.
What did you call that?
A pack and play. You know, little travel cribs?
Oh.
That's what it looked like, a little wooden travel crib or a little baby corral.
It was Tommen's.
Yes.
Oh, maybe.
So they had
Okay,
to dig
there
it
you
out
go.
of storage.
There you go. And they shackle him to it What do they honestly think he's going to do? He's going to bust out, "We were kung fu fighting." You know, he's just going to start slashing the King's Guard.
It's standard operating procedure. Standard operating procedure.
No, it's Tywin trying to humiliate him.
Of course.
Asshole. Anyways, can you tell I'm a little partial
You're a little
Tyrion?
partial Tyrion.
Are you going to be getting a
Let's
free
not argue with
Tyrion
that
shirt?
now right now.
Are you going to get a free Tyrion shirt?
A free Tyrion shirt?
Like free Moombia?
From who?
You can make
Oh,
one.
you can make
Oh, okay. Oh, free Tyrion. I thought you meant like I'm getting one gratis. Somebody's going to give me
Free
a
Tyrion with
shirt.
purchase of Tyrion of equal
Oh
or
yeah,
greater
like
value.
if I stick up for Tyrion on the podcast, somebody's going to send me a T-shirt. But I did buy the
If
little
you have a
Tyrion,
free
a
Tyrion
dragon.
Yes,
he has
he
his
is
own
sitting here
dragon
with his
now.
little new stuffed dragon.
Yep. So Tommen stands up, and he's very kingly for a little guy. And he recuses himself from the trial and has Tywin rule in his stead.
Right.
And Tyrion kind of looked proud of him.
Right. Oh, I don't want to interrupt you, but I think we did skip the small council meeting.
Oh.
Didn't we have a small council meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just to get the facts into
True.
Varys
You said
reported.
Tyrion, so I only made notes.
Yeah.
that's
It's
fine.
my mistake. Varys pointed out that the Hound has been spotted.
Yes.
And Tywin is is like when he says
And no mention of Arya.
no mention of Arya, and he says well, it's some little girl. They don't know if it was
Did they say little girl? I didn't hear that.
I believe it's from the incident in the chicken area that he's.
Yeah, I'm not sure they had a gender, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But then Tywin's like, well, how much money would make a man crazy enough to attack the Hound, and then he triples it. So that kind
No,
of
10 times.
or 10 times. So that kind of parallels
10 whatever
Daenerys,
versus
like
100, yeah.
overpaying for your mistakes. Basically, you just overpay for your mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just watching that scene just for Oberyn's lean. I got to learn how to pull that off. That
Right.
man lounges in a chair.
Oh,
That
nobody
is
lounges like
anything-
Oberyn.
I
Oh my
know.
god, he has like feet up over
It's like an art form.
I've got to learn this from our staff meetings. Just
Yeah.
like I gotta do the
Everything he
Oberyn.
does is just liquid sex.
Everyone will just look at you differently. They'll just be like,
So he is-
Jason,
it's
what's your opinion?
He's like, he's
I'm-
draped over a piece of furniture like a garment.
Yeah, he is.
I think
He's
it's
just
time
like
we all get drunk and have an orgy.
I'm going to be having some orgies.
You know what it
for
is?
lunch.
It's that damn Dornish wine.
Yeah?
Supposed to
Yes.
be the best.
Supposed to be the best. And the other important fact that comes out here is that they're pretty much up to date on Daenerys, so they know that she has fairly sizable dragons and that she's taken multiple cities.
It was interesting that people seem to be... Everyone's on board
They're
with
very
the fact that dragons exist, and nobody's like...
Well, they know the dragons exist. They have skulls. They have history and skulls.
Right, well, they know dragons existed, but it seems like everyone's
But it's like
moved
1,000,
from,
yeah.
like, that's crazy to, like, all right, she's got some, but they're small. Like, I'll give halfway. On
There's
my
a,
belief,
well,
so,
it's like there are a few zombies, but they haven't taken over a whole
And
city.
they're the slow
They're
zombies.
slow
You can pretty much
zombies.
walk
They're
around
not
them.
smart zombies, and you can shoot them in the head. It'll be fine. Well, it was like Marco Rubio. Oh, we have extinctions all the time.
Yeah.
This is the new position on climate change: is that extinctions happen all the time. What are you worried about? Okay. Oh.
And then during the small council meeting, Tywin keeps taking opportunity to basically to show Cersei that she's an idiot.
Right.
Like, she's an idiot for releasing Barristan Selmy, because guess what? Now she's got a really skilled
Right.
Yeah, they all
knight.
took time to, like, rub that one in. didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah. And then she's like, what, little baby dragons? And they're getting bigger every year, dummy.
Right.
Let one of them come up on her and
On the other hand, everyone treated her nicer than they treated Mace Tyrell,
Right.
True.
who was treated about a rung below where Tywin treated Arya
But remember
when she was his cup holder.
remember the first time he was mentioned was by Olenna, and she called him the Lord Oaf of Highgarden.
Yes.
Right.
So he just looks like a troll or something. He's an interesting
trollish.
character.
And then the last thing before we return you to the People's Court is Oberyn and Varys meet in the throne room for one
Yes.
of these little finger,
Yes.
colloquia on power.
And that totally was not booked, but that was really good.
It couldn't be booked because there's no point of view,
Right.
And basically Varys makes it kind of clear that he's got eyes for the throne, but probably not for himself.
Right.
He just wants to make sure that he's always got some influence on that throne, and that's what he's playing for, basically.
I really like the play between those two.
Yeah.
And it was Varys feeling, they were both feeling each other out and really getting a grasp of how intelligent the other was.
Yeah,
and how perceptive the other was.
I had a little conversation with Stephanie online about Varys's position. We both read the book, but things have changed enough that there could be different little chess pieces could be changing size. And the idea, I very much like the idea of Varys being behind, having some Littlefingery, moves here, and possibly based on loyalty to Tyrion. Okay, we will now return you to that.
Before we get to that, I think just it spurred my head there. The other part of the conversation with Varys in contrast with Littlefinger is whether it's truly sexual in nature. Littlefinger seems to be driven entirely by this spurning of him when he was younger,
right?
By the woman he loved, and Varys, on the other hand, is like, nope.
Oh
don't have those feelings.
Forgot
I
about
really
that.
enjoyed the are you gay? No. Oh, you liked women. I was kind of shocked by that.
No.
And he's like, no, not that either.
No, man. I do not like men or women. I do not like sex.
But it sounded like
I'm partial to oatmeal.
Because I do not have a penis.
Well, I think part of it is he got
so I wouldn't be very good at it.
Gelded or whatever so young that I don't think he really had established.
I got the sense he got gelded as a child,
very small child,
right?
And then he was.
So he wouldn't. He's like Grey Worm. But no, Grey Worm appears to be straight. He appears to be romantically attracted to women, but not to men that we've seen.
Right.
Right. So apparently, in whatever the rules are here, you retain something like that.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay.
We really need a couple of side scenes with
he might be hot for Oberyn. You're right. If he had a chance.
No, but I thought it was interesting is his conversation of look, lust is one of those things that's wrecking everything.
Right.
And
yes.
If you go back to even the start of the war that started everything, when Robert took over, there was very possibly quite a bit of lust involved with that too. So, interesting contrast.
And if Oberyn reads between the lines, it could be like, you know what? I know you like to screw, but keep your head on straight.
Right.
You know what I mean? Too. Think about it. But anyway.
All right.
So, like I said, Tommen recuses himself from the trial, and Tyrion keeps trying to make eye contact with people, and he was trying to make eye contact with Tommen, and he looked kind of proud of Tommen, I thought.
Yeah.
Of how Tommen looked and how poised he was up there.
Tommen was more king in 5 minutes than Joffrey's been in 5 years.
Yeah. So, I think he was definitely proud of his double nephew. And
oh Jesus, it's fucking dark.
And so then they make it clear that the reason he's on trial is because the Queen Regent has accused him of regicide. Although obviously Tywin isn't sticking up for him or anything either.
Does that mean you're killing Reggie or?
Yes, it's killing Reggie. It's killing Reggie Jackson.
Yep.
It's only ever been committed once.
Yes.
Right.
Just the one Reggie.
And then we start seeing all the witnesses for the prosecution, I guess.
This was really, really great.
And Meryn Trent, who everybody's been talking shit about anyways.
Yeah.
He's the one that beat Sansa, tore her clothes, the Hound saying what a punk bitch he is.
Meryn Trent.
Yeah.
Big fucking sword.
Yep. Weren't there two Trents?
There's Meryn Trent and then
Janos Slynt. There's Slynt and Trent.
Who was the one that was killed by Pod?
That was Mandon Moore. Though
Moore.
They never gave him a name in the show.
Meryn and Mandon, that's what got me going.
On the show, it was just Dude.
It was the Meryn and Mandon.
Also, I never quite got
Dude
past
with sword.
Mandon Moore after Mandy Moore.
Yeah.
It was just really, George?
There's some weird stuff.
Mindy Mork.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So, basically all of the witnesses are saying very damning quotes.
It's
Tyrion,
it's like truths.
But without any context around them of why they were,
It's all twisted truth.
It's very twisted, but it is verbatim in the beginning, at least with Meryn Trent. Pycelle goes over his list of poisons. And isn't he overdue to be put down?
I love Meister Pycelle. I could watch a whole show with this guy because he is so phony. I'm so forgive me. Oh, I'm so forgetful.
The most perfect boy. What was it? The most perfect boy on God's green earth or something
like
that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What the fucking son of a bitch.
How do you even get that out without laughing?
Yes.
Even Tywin was really?
Really, come on.
Like, strike that from the record.
This guy is the biggest dickweed in King's Landing, and that is a pile of dickweeds.
Yeah. So Cersei definitely plays it up, and is just really stretching the truth big time, and just playing quite the victim. Such a bitch.
Well, she said exactly what he said to her, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I mean, part of this is just all Tyrion's fault, right?
Yeah, his mouth has gotten him to all this trouble.
He liked to think of himself as a great political player, but he's kind of he's that guy who like plays it halfway.
Uh-huh.
He never has the stomach or the patience or the thought to continually play forever.
Right.
Like, he wants to make a move and win and gloat, or thinks he's done.
Well, you get that in
he's the king of snark.
In the beginning of season 3. He says that.
Right. Whereas you compare it to someone like Varys, who may be making moves but never lets someone that's going to be around know that he beat them at something.
Because Varys
I'm sure Varys has stopped Cersei at something she's done, but he would never ever let her know because he knows that she's still going to be there.
Because Varys doesn't come from a place of ego.
And he can't protect
Perhaps
himself.
because he doesn't have testosterone.
He also
but he doesn't from a place of ego.
Cersei
He's
ego.
more always strategic. Always, don't show your cards.
But it takes a tremendous amount of patience to be someone like that. I mean, even in your normal, like I always think of myself very much like Tyrion because I have no patience for it. Like, I'm terrible at chess.
I just think it's interesting that all of the Lannisters are in a position where they're taking pride in being something that they're terrible at. So Tywin says that it's all the legacy, and he's the worst father on planet whatever Earthos. Cersei takes pride in being a good mother. She's a terrible mother.
Horrific.
Absolutely terrible mother.
Also terrible.
You're not supposed to indulge the psychopathy of your children. You're supposed to fix it.
When your child kills a prostitute on the
Tyrion says he loves playing the Game of Thrones. He actually told Jay that, it's like, I like being here. I like being smarter than these people. It's like, you're not smarter than they are.
No,
you might be smarter than they are, but they're a lot more powerful than you are, and you're playing. You're playing with a dog, wild dog.
Littlefinger and Varys, and
right. And Jaime is, the sworn king protector, and he kills kings.
Yeah,
right. And so Lannisters all fail at what they set out to do, more or less.
And then they do that really good shot of Marjorie. And what did everybody think of her? Because she obviously knows that Tyrion didn't do it.
Right.
She looks very uncomfortable,
She's in an impossible position. Mm-hmm. Absolutely impossible.
And no side of Elena a lot at all.
Would you be in King's Landing during the trial?
Not.
I'm booking for out of town. Marjorie, who I take to be a sincere person who is interested in justice, is in an impossible position. She can't, unless she's is very, very cynical, which she might be. Right. She can't allow an unjust result here.
It did her a tremendous favor, but at the same point, Tyrion's expense.
Favor schmavor. Whatever.
He doesn't deserve it.
You're not supposed to let innocent people. Yeah, I have a reason to believe that somebody confessed to me. I'm not going to say who.
Right.
What could she do?
But she knows that her family, it's in her best interest and her family's best interest just to let.
Of course, it's best. No, there's no question what her best interest is. The question is, what's the right thing to do?
Right.
It's totally different.
Yes, but you think she's gonna?
I don't know. I just think she's in a position that makes her very uncomfortable because I
Yes.
think she likes having good ethics.
Yes, she would like to say something.
Yeah.
But I guess Tyrion's kind of taken that out of her hands, anyways.
Right.
Alrighty, and then Varys is up, and the most damning. It was like the best of Tyrion. It was the best of Tyrion quotes show,
Yeah, yeah.
And the best one there was monsters are dangerous, and just now kings are dying like flies.
No.
And then Varys, of course, I think my take on Varys at the end when he said.
I never forget.
That I never forget, sadly, my lord, I never forget a thing. To me, that was, I know, but there's nothing I can do about it.
I'll never forget this.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows how important Tyrion is. I think he still has a lot of respect and faith in Tyrion, but he just can't put his own neck on the line. Or at least be seen to.
But I think it's the same thing he said to Ned Stark. It's like, who also ended up in a bad place over this, but it does me no good to sacrifice myself for you because then we both die. The only shot you have is for me to do what I need to do to keep moving. And in this case, that's testify against you.
Right.
You're going down anyway. It doesn't make any difference if I testify or not. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a little bit of, TV drama. I think in anything real, Varys would have been like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And just gotten off the stand.
Yeah.
But they want to, make a slightly poignant moment.
And I think Varys wants them to think that he's in their pocket. Maybe he is, but I think that if he's on Tyrion's side, his idea is, I don't want Tywin suspecting that I'm on Tyrion's side.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Regardless if he is or not, yeah.
Right.
And then I can't help but wonder how much of this is going to just end up into just a big puppet show between Varys and Littlefinger. Because they're really driving a lot of the stuff under the surface. It's kind of interesting.
Well, Littlefinger's not in a position to do much more from where he is.
Right, but he's done so much already
Yeah.
that we weren't really aware of until recently. But anyway. So then they decide to adjourn court for an hour. And Tywin and Jaime meet in Tywin's chambers. And boy, did Jaime just walk right into Tywin's web.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jaime is not the brightest.
No.
He's a little slow.
Somebody online said that they thought that they heard like a record being scratched. As soon as Tywin's like, done. It's like, this is my entire
Jaime's face.
reason for being is to get you out of the...
I think that was Jacob Russell who said that.
Right. Yeah, Jacob Russell.
Jaime definitely had the dough face when he said, he was like, oh, crap. But I mean, he walks in, he's like, you can't let your son die. And he's basically was like, oh, well, I can, wink, wink, but maybe something will happen where he don't die. And he's like, well, if you don't kill him, I'll give you everything you want. Done. Right. What?
Yeah,
You're so slow.
Yep.
This is why kings die.
But I wonder to what degree Tywin is pushing this to try to get Jaime to make that offer. I mean, is he playing that far ahead, or did he just?
I think he got lucky.
He got lucky.
I think he's doing the Littlefinger thing, seizing opportunity.
Right, but I mean, you can get lucky and still have thought about what will happen if I get lucky, ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Plans don't have to be 100%. They could be like, if he comes and makes the offer, I'm saying yes right away, and I'll get it. Because he had the wall all ready to go there. He's like, I'll send him to the wall. Get him to confess, I'll send him to the wall. He had the whole plan.
Yeah, well, I think that's what I mean. I think he was even hinting that, like, this is my plan, dummy. Like,
because he kept saying, he'll be punished accordingly.
Right.
He didn't say, he'll be executed.
Right.
And the wall could really use a mind like Tyrion's, but because of his name, because of his stature, whatever, he would just be tortured over there. I don't know if anybody would,
he'll also be
take
eaten
him
by
seriously.
zombies.
True.
There's that too.
But he pissed off the wall, so he'd be happy about that. Right. So then they go on about the dynasty.
The dynasty.
And they make the deal, and he says, in 3 days' time, Tyrion will depart for the wall, and you will remove your cloak immediately.
I think he had that like written out. I think he was. This is my A
I'm surprised
scenario.
there wasn't a signed document ready.
Yeah. Here you go.
And then Jaime and Tyrion do their little sidebar, and he tells Tyrion what the plan is, and he tells him to keep his mouth shut, no more outbursts, and this will be over soon. And then here comes Shay, and she's dressed so demure and overdressed for her.
Please understand, my lords, I was a trapped woman.
She usually has the little flowing side boob dresses.
Yeah.
No,
she's dressed like a Prussian
school marm. Something.
Yeah, school marm.
Yep. And so she says that she knows that Tyrion was guilty and that he and Sansa planned it together. Sansa wanted revenge for all the deaths of her family. It's easier to say all of it than list them all.
Right.
And then Tyrion hates everyone. Joffrey, the Queen, Tywin. Yeah, we knew that. And that he stole the poison from Pycelle. Now, did Pycelle ever really get poison stolen? I don't remember that part.
Tyrion confiscated his stores when he threw him in the black cells.
Yeah.
So Tyrion did take his stores.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if Tyrion took them to his personal usage,
Yeah, right.
but he basically took all of his stuff when he threw him in the dungeon.
Because he didn't want Cersei to have access to poison.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, she almost killed Tommen.
She almost killed Tommen. Yeah.
Yep.
And
then the other part I didn't remember was when she was saying, I was his whore, he stole me, I was with another man. I don't remember that part. That was all bullshit, right?
No, he said He sent Bronn out to go get a woman, and Bronn intimated that he had to like beat up a guy to go get.
Yeah,
the
he sent one of his
I don't remember.
thugs.
It's been
I mean,
so
she
long.
didn't seem particularly worried about it at the time.
No.
You know.
There's a number of things that she didn't seem worried about at the time.
Well, I'm sure Tywin had a lot more, or Tyrion had a lot more money too, and she's just gonna go with money. You know.
So, okay, Book Shay has no loyalty to Tyrion, and this is entirely she's just bribed to lie and would just do it. It's in her character. Show Shay is in love with Tyrion.
Right. There's
So,
supposed to be more of that.
To me, this scene the fact that she really loves him breaks here a little bit, because the fact that he's on trial has got to occur to her that he was honestly protecting her, because he couldn't protect himself.
I'm not sure Shay's that bright.
I guess, but it's like really not bright.
I don't
For her to be not so much. I think she could be bribed into betraying him, given pressure, and Tywin's very persuasive and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that she still is hurt at his behavior, to me, seems like doesn't make sense, because it's like, well, clearly you were right.
Oh, Jason, have you not heard Hell hath no fury as a scorned woman?
But she wasn't scorned. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I wish
so-
I was the monster you
So
all
I'd like to
think
point
I
out.
am.
I'd like to point out Jason is presenting a
cast
logical
aside.
argument.
Yes. Yes.
That Shay should logically not feel
But
like
she-
she's been scorned or called
but,
a
but,
whore.
but logically, she should have taken
okay.
made a lot of moves earlier in the narrative.
I'm not calling bullshit. I'm not calling bullshit. I'm not going that far. I'm just saying that it
What
breaks.
was that accent?
That's
That
a
was
bald move
bullshit.
thing. On
Bullshit.
bald move, they always call bullshit.
Gotcha.
This is not bullshit. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it breaks the character just a little bit, that she's not breaking this way in the book. In the book, her motivations are very clear
To me,
and make sense.
when I watch it, and I can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But, she was obviously both angry at times and reluctant at times. And, if you sit through the whole thing, right, there's points where she's obviously reciting by rote. There's times where she's reluctant to do it. There's times where she's angry. And I feel like that kind of fits. She's going through this thing where she is still angry.
Right.
She still loves him. But, if you remember the Shay of Blackwater, she's still a survivor.
Right.
I think she very much has Varys' point of view. Tyrion's done. Nothing she says
He's going to save him.
gonna save him anyways.
Yeah. I don't think it's unrealistic. I'm just saying there is a tonal difference here.
Yes, she definitely has not forgiven him.
Right.
Or realized that,
Okay.
Spiteful bitch.
Spiteful bitch.
But maybe she's angry that he didn't go away, to Pentos or wherever the hell they were gonna go 2 episodes ago.
He totally should have.
Right.
Yeah.
Say that now.
Okay.
So, and then they get into where he confesses.
I have this on audio.
Father,
for that.
go for it.
Yeah, let's go for that on audio. I'd forgotten that was right after that. And here it comes.
Do you wish to confess?
Yes, Father. I'm guilty. Guilty? Is that what you want to hear?
You admit you poisoned the king?
No. Of that I'm innocent. I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
You are not on trial for being a dwarf.
Oh,
The snark.
Yeah.
I've been on trial for that my entire life.
Have you nothing to say in your defense?
Nothing but this. I did not do it. I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish that I had. Watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores.
Glad he got bastard.
I wish I was the monster you think I am. I wish I had enough poison for the whole pack of you. I would gladly give my life to watch you all swallow it.
Samarin! Samarin, escort the prisoner back to his cell.
I will not give my life for Joffrey's murder, and I know I'll get no justice here, so I will let the gods decide my fate. I demand a trial by combat.
always the Reigns of Castamere. Always got to be.
For like the closing theme of like every single episode this season.
Yeah.
Yay, we get action next week.
Another thing I kind of flashed on too is when Tyrion Tywin always gets me so tongue-tied.
Tyrion tongue-tied?
Yeah.
It's better than Bravos and Davos.
Yes.
And Stanos.
I know. And then you got Bran and Bronn.
Bran and Bronn.
I got some weird shit. But anyway, when Varys and Tyrion were talking, and he said, "You once said without me, the city would have faced certain defeat. You said the histories would not mention me, but you would never forget." That reminds me of the White Book, and how
Okay.
the biggest achievement for Jaime was saving the city from the Mad King.
Yes.
But it will never go down correctly in the history books, and he will never get credit for it. So they have both Kingslayer brothers have saved the city, and both
And neither
got
got,
nothing but
neither of
kicked
them
in
got
the
credit.
teeth
Oh,
for
yeah.
it.
No, hey, that's a good connection. Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, yeah. They both saved the city, and both were reviled, pretty much. You know.
Oh, and it's like Jaime saved the city from fire, and Tyrion saved the city with fire.
There you go.
Okay, I'm done.
Well, we have a little feedback on a couple of segments.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
First, we have Jacob Russell. Anyone besides me think that Daenerys needs a good management training seminar? I mean, who goes through 212 customer appointments themselves? It's called delegation, people. Did anyone besides me hear a loud record scratch when Tywin said "done" with no preamble? I'm beginning to think that one of the rules of surviving Westeros is having no direct dealings with the Lannisters, ever.
Yeah.
No, you can go ahead and finish.
And Katrina McDowell. Daenerys is young and headstrong and is a first-time queen who grew up without the... Are there like second and third and fourth-time queens?
First, yeah, no, this is like her first queenship. When it's usually your second queenship's the worst one. Because you try to correct all your mistakes.
Once you, I mean, by the third queenship, you don't care that much, and you're just rolling on.
Fourth queenship is where you really hit your stride, though.
Yeah.
All right.
If you make it.
Or you're too drunk that you don't remember anything.
Cersei's on number 4.
Yeah.
People don't realize that.
Who grew up without the benefit of being in the presence of other leaders she could learn from. She will learn things the hard way, but I admire her resolve for wanting to meet with everyone herself, and I appreciate the exasperation on her face when she realized that even her own best intentions have unforeseen consequences. I gotta tell you, I thought it was a really smart move on her part. One day, you set the culture, the people you're going to delegate to, watch how you handle all these people. All these people are going to go into the city and gossip about how wonderful the queen is.
Oh, she has to receive. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
totally.
and then she's done. One big-ass long day, and then she's done.
No. Because by the time you get to the end, there's about 200 more people with...
Word has spread and there's more bones.
It's like doesn't stop. There doesn't stop being problems.
Well, I know, but while you're doing this, you're teaching your delegates.
Yes, she needs delegates.
And they can do this after.
Right.
It's like, this is how we're going to do this. I'm going to have a big grand day. See 200 people.
You're also
blah, blah,
assuming
blah.
that you can make the 200 people happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She,
a lot of them have been crucified.
Yeah. I mean,
she needs some good press.
She also needs someone that's going to be like, well,
Also,
you can't spend 3 times the price of a goat on bones.
Yeah.
You crucified the entire IT department. Nobody knows how to get anything done
At
around
least you
here.
finally changed that dirty blue dress.
Yeah.
That dirty blue dress.
Yeah, right. You need a new blue dress, honey. Little Christina Aguilera.
Michelle Zabor Bowman, and this would be Mrs.
Oh, this is Mrs. Shane Bowman.
Yes.
Lady Bowman.
Lady Bowman.
Yes.
Oh, House Bowman.
Yeah, we're calling her Lady Bowman.
That's awesome.
How much control do you think Dany has over the dragons at this point? They've obviously gone past the point of physically being controlled and have displayed their aggression towards her when she has tried to interfere with them. Is it possible that they would leave the nest? Pun intended. When she was in Astapor, she had the power to order the dragons to fry Kransnes to a crisp. I'm not so sure that would be the case now. Yeah, she has zero control, And it's only
Crispy
going to
crackers.
go down from here. No one has control over them.
I think she has some influence, but not control anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think she could get them to burn someone if they
Yeah.
happen to be around.
And the
Because
smaller
I think they probably enjoy the burn.
Right.
Oh, well, I mean, if it was fun for them.
she probably still has a lot of control over the smaller ones. I
Yeah.
think they're
It
but
might
the big
have-
dominant one, no way.
It might have to do with her only teaching them one command. We already had this
Yeah,
discussion
burn.
about Tyrion. Animals need multiple commands to know what you want.
Yes.
Sit.
When they only know
Don't eat
Dracarys,
that.
then that's all they do.
That's all they're going to be doing is Dracarys. Okay, then we had some more.
Next.
Yeah. We're just going through.
You just want to go through all of them?
Yeah, because I meant to do.
Well,
it
now
in
we
the
have Susan
show.
Monk
Yay.
from Geek Girl Soup, and she's very smart, so watch out for her.
Oh, yes.
I'm always on guard. Random thought. During the time of Brodor, Bronn warging. Warging. I like that word.
It's not actually a funny word.
It's a very, but it is. Warging. Warging into Hordor. Hordor. Can be Brodor. Say anything other than Hordor.
Can he say anything?
Yes. Parash Raghavan. I hope I said that right. Nope, he won't be able to say anything other than Hordor. When someone wargs, I'm sorry, that word just kills
Into
me.
a Wodor.
They only enter your mind and can see the world through your senses and control their actions. Damn it, he just came in and made sense.
Yeah, it's not like he's a
No.
talking dire.
Do you have the next one on there?
It's not like
I think
he's a talking
wrong.
There's more.
No, there's
the next
controversy
people
here.
Come back and
Oh, they come back and do they pile on him
They
in
pile
SmackDown?
on. They're
Well, let's
SmackDown.
get on this.
No, actually, they're really nice.
Hannah Lovelace Paal. Perhaps it's a physical thing. As a wolf, Bran can't speak because wolves don't have the physical capability. So as Hordor, he's still having to deal with those physical limitations that make Hordor unable to say anything else.
He can murder and stuff. I think he could probably talk.
Yeah, I don't see why I couldn't, but I do think it might be more difficult to translate something as complex.
You know what it is? And
Speech patterns rather than.
also, actually, speaking isn't really highly under our conscious control. What we say is, but the connection of the sounds we make, that's far below the
I
intention.
don't go. I'm going to curve my tongue.
Is that a way to get me out of all the shit that pops out of my mouth that I shouldn't say? I can say I can't control.
That's
it.
why people get aphasic, right? When you get aphasic, it's you're like, why can't I speak? Because it's a very basic instinct that kicks out, and your whole brain can be working, and you can't talk. And so I think you probably aphasic if you warg into Hodor, because
Yeah, that makes sense.
Dr. Schenkel.
No, this is the best logic I've heard so far.
Yeah, he could probably sit and, like an aphasic person, sit and meditate and concentrate and relearn how to speak, but he wouldn't have the natural.
So the
instinct.
unconscious actions are still controlled by the wargi,
Right.
because obviously Hodor's still breathing and the heart's beating.
We don't control our understanding of language. It just is
Right.
there, right?
Right.
So you can't not understand English.
It's
if you do.
unfortunate for Hodor.
Yeah, he's Hodor'd.
And now we have Stephanie Brown Anderson. I'm dying to know if Bronn sold out Shay, or if Cersei and Tywin found her when they seized all the ships after Joff died. It didn't seem like Bronn sold out because of his conversation where he convinced Jaime to go see Tyrion. But the showrunners could have thrown that in to make it seem even more shocking when they reveal Bronn betrayed Tyrion. It would also make sense for the showrunners to pretty much everyone turn on Tyrion except Jaime and Pod. And I hope they answer that as quickly as they solve the riddle of who poisoned Joffrey. I'll bet Game of Thrones has done more for dwarfism awareness than anything in pop culture to date. I really loathe midget or dwarf jokes, and I really hope in some way this show will make people stop and think before cracking on people with dwarfism in the future. I have to say I agree with that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to sound a little PC, but I personally detest any kind of body jokes.
Right.
I also don't like this new short bus joke thing that people...
No, it's not
new.
It's been
Little
around.
I don't know.
for a long
Yeah,
time,
it's just nasty. Because you're making fun of disabled kids.
Yeah.
You know, and
I think
window
it's-
liquor, and it's just,
I think it's about ownership. I respect Shorty Rossi's position that these are a lot. You know that he says that a lot of us wouldn't have any work if it wasn't.
right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that
For the
we
NPC
should just
stuff.
leave it there and just
No, it's our.
and toss dwarfs and whatever other bullshit we come up with. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense
Like at
to
work
me.
today,
I think it's more like playing
But
a Christmas-
anybody jokes don't make sense to me.
Tossing is bad. Christmas elf at Macy's starts. I don't know. It's like starts to be one of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Dinklage is interesting because he had to take a lot of those roles. Hated it. Took the role in Elf.
Right.
Which is fantastic, where he gets to beat the crap out of a guy for making the jokes. You know?
Right.
I mean, one of the better scenes in movie
Have you guys
history.
seen him in that funeral movie?
No, I haven't yet.
That one is good.
Then there was In Bruges, which wasn't Dinklage, it was the other guy. But
It's a goofy movie.
Yeah, the
but his
guy
part
in
is
Bruges was awesome too.
yeah, he does a lot of Dinklage level bitter dwarf humor. But I think I as long as they get that ownership, it's like ethnic humor. It's like any other kind of humor. You have to have the ownership.
Yeah.
And then it becomes
I've never gotten the anti-PC crowd. To my mind, if people don't want to be called something, it's just as... I mean, I understand sometimes there's overreactions to it, but I don't know. You tell me what you want me to call you.
Well, because
that goes
that-
for your name or your
Yeah.
status or whatever.
And just go with it. What's hard, so
I have
difficult
no need
to
to be a dick to people.
Yeah,
Like, that's...
I do occasionally, but
Well, yes, but not in that way.
No,
not in that way.
The problem with the anti-PC people is that they're doing exactly what they accuse PC people of doing. They're saying you should change the way you act and behave because of my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing anti-PC is exactly PC.
Right.
It's just a reversed form of PC. That's all it is.
Yeah, and for me...
It's the same exact thing. It's telling you that you have to react a certain way to what
I'm going to call you what you want me to call you.
Yeah.
It just seems normal.
Yeah, and it's just like the thing also with transgenderism. It's like it's not my business to analyze your chromosomes and then I get to decide.
Right.
If you can tell me, you can make up a gender and I'll go with it.
Yeah, it's like Star Trek gender of some
Yeah,
sort.
I'm
Go
totally
ahead.
cool.
Oh, that would be pretty cool, like Dax or something.
Yeah, I'm like that's so cool. Whatever, let's
I'm a
just go
trill.
with it.
Okay.
I got a lot of my
Sounds
shit.
good.
I got a lot of my shit talking from my mom, and she had a perfect line for that. If you're not sleeping with them, it ain't your business.
It's true.
You know?
Yeah.
Or if you see somebody that's a little androgynous and you can't tell if they're male or female first look, you probably don't need to know.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to ask them
Who
out,
cares?
then whatever.
Yeah.
If you're not, then leave them alone.
I had a great sexy taxi ride once years ago back in the day with another prominent person, and the taxi
Just a
driver.
quick question: was it just a sexy taxi ride, or is that a thing?
Is there sexy taxi?
Because I'm
There is a
gonna
new-
like, is it like Uber?
Like Uber and
Like
Lyft,
just
they're
a-
sexy
They do have the
taxis.
new. They do have the new screw truck or screw bus or whatever that's coming around San Francisco. You don't know about that?
Screw bus?
Oh,
It's like you
I'm
rent-
married and old now.
You rent it. You rent it by the hour, and
Not
it's
that
like a
old.
truck that's parked in the city or whatever, and you schedule it in advance, and they have lubes and condoms.
Why
and
would you
whatever.
need
It's just a
this?
hookup
Hey man, we're not
spot.
that old and we're not that
I
married.
don't know.
We can check out Screw Bus if you want to.
Yes.
If it would be fun for you.
Why would you need
Also,
that?
I don't know. It's strange. It's something new. I've read a couple articles about. I'll find one for you.
That's
Screw
awesome,
bus.
Screw Bus.
It is kind of cool in a way, though. It's I guess because of the whole food truck phenomenon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now we have.
It is a food truck.
Oh, it's a food truck, all right.
We used to
Before
call
we go on to the next one, the Braun thing. Braun completely sold her out.
Oh yeah,
Like
totally.
that dialogue.
Braun took her immediately to Taiwan.
Yes, that dialogue with Tyrion where he's like, "So you took her to the boat, right?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you'd be a better liar.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
not at all.
That was pretty obvious.
But see, I could see several scenarios of, you know, if that, you know, conversation didn't happen. I could see her putting her on the ship and her stomping her little ass right off the ship.
Yep, but the
You know?
conversation did happen, and so like.
But I
it's
could also
totally
see
like,
somebody seeing her
But-
fighting him on the docks
Tywin had his people
and then
on
going
her.
in and pulling her out.
Tywin had his people on her when he had eyes on her, so there was no way that Braun got her to a
And
ship.
Braun's more of a whore than Shay. I mean,
He's a
that
social
dude will do whatever.
Anyways,
Well,
back to
he's
my
getting
sexy
too old for
taxi
it.
Oh,
ride.
sexy taxi.
Yes.
It's probably not going to be so interesting, but it was pretty interesting because of the way we were dressed. The theme of the party was 70s hookers, and we were in our 20s, and we looked really hot. So we're in the back of this taxi, and we're a couple of bi chicks, and we've had some relations, and we're just chatting away. We're going to a place where there's this blow up dildo. This is back in like 92 or something, and it's one of the early Tranny Shack incarnations. And we're going, and this guy drops us off, the taxi driver, and he's just absolutely bemused. He's like completely bemused and curious, and he's like, so wait a minute, what's this club about? Are you one of them? Are you guys gay? And I just like, all of a sudden, I had one of those moments where I said the right thing at the right time. I just sat right up, cleavage and all. I was like, dude, my sexual orientation only matters if I'm going to fuck you. And since I'm not going to fuck you, you're not getting an answer.
There you go.
I just laughed. We were laughing so hard. Anyways, that's my sexy story.
So I found the headline of the article. Hookup truck hits the street offering haven for casual safe sex.
Because there is no haven? We have a dearth of haven?
Because there's not enough
for all those.
There's
people
not enough
without
casual
homes.
hookups in San Francisco.
Yes.
We need a bus. It's like Google.
They're calling
I know. It's like the Google service.
We don't have enough sex going on.
And they're saying the hookup truck is a conceptual art installation.
Well, you know
consisting
what?
of a
Maybe
box
because
truck.
there's so many tech people lined up at like dormitories in these apartments, they don't have private.
This sounds
hookup
like a
stuff.
Burning Man vehicle.
Yeah.
There's cameras.
This sounds like a
I
Burning
don't know. The conceptual art thing sounds.
As soon as you see conceptual art,
That's Burning Man. That's dirty, filthy Burning Man. I've been on a conceptual art truck, and there was not a lot of sex.
I've seen a lot of sex in those. Well, we went to Burning Man when there was sex in the place that we were supposed to be staying
Yeah,
at.
see, when we were going to Burning Man, Sion said, I'd like us to be monogamous. And I said, that's +1 for me. That's one more than I had in mind.
Yeah, he was so thrilled.
There's going to be sex?
we just started dating.
She's like, I really want us to be... And you were like, I really thought about it, and I want us to be monogamous. I'm like, yeah! Score! Sounds great. What can I do for you?
Sion was narrowing down from like 35 to 1.
Yeah, totally.
Jason was going from
Well, she
0.
met me. I was hanging with a particular crowd. She had this impression of me that was not entirely accurate.
I thought it was a little wilder.
A little wilder, yeah. Than my crowd is a
It's
little.
the ponytail.
It's turned out really nice because he likes the wild. He loves the crazy. He prefers that, even though he's not doing it.
I don't want any part of that.
But he married
I
it.
to marry right
It's
into
fun
it.
to watch.
it's fun to
Yeah,
watch.
exactly,
Take
exactly.
me to the fair.
I mean, he would sit at some of the big, like we used to throw these wild parties, and Jason would sit there.
Just watch.
Or like when you're in the backyard on the futon.
Yeah.
We threw a futon out in the patio backyard.
And then like explosions started happening.
Yeah, well, it was one of my birthday parties, and I had changed underwear with David Blood and was wearing men's underwear, and he had on my girly
Audience
pajamas.
is fascinated.
Someone had made the mistake of saying they had firecrackers in their car, and so I set them off in the kitchen.
Just because we're under time this week doesn't mean we have to.
I did. This was early too when we were dating, and you're
And
sitting
he
out
stuck
there.
around. What does that say?
Well, this is great because he's just having this. You know how Jason gets into these conversations, so everyone in
And
Natter
starts
knows.
podcasts.
Yeah, starts podcasts. So he's in the middle of nattering with someone on this futon, all Burning Man'd out there, and there's flashing lights and screaming, and someone turns around and goes, "Who was that you were talking with?"
Oh, I don't know
Can't
who
remember,
it
one
was.
of our friends.
They
But
said,
she was like, "Don't you need to check that out?"
it's not my house.
They're like,
She can
"Wow,
burn down
he's."
her kitchen if she wants to. Not my issue. All right, let's ride out of here, man.
There were no marks. I was so disappointed.
Let's get
There were
the
no
rest
burn
of our
marks.
feedback.
That would have been awesome if that had come full circle.
Wait, on the
back
kitchen
to
or on the
anything
person?
related to the show, but no.
No.
Then there was a dragon.
The dragon swept down and ate.
Look, just
Ate a little bit.
because we shoot for 90 minutes doesn't mean we have to pad together.
Well, yeah, the dragon came in and totally upstaged and burned the futon.
Dracarys. Dracar Noir.
Anyways,
Axe body spray.
and we were high as a kite at that part. It's back when we.
Finish the feedback, please. Let's just get out of this spiral that we've fallen into.
Okay.
You thought the podcast would be tighter with less people.
Yes,
You were
no,
wrong.
no, I
Oh,
was
we just
wrong.
went loosey goosey.
Yeah,
And then, of course, every time we say the name Tyrion, oh my God, he's falling between the chairs now.
I am not going to let you be in charge at the end of the podcast anymore.
He keeps moving around every time we say his name. Okay. All right, so I'll do Irene Bailey Bird now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Irene. I've had to use step stools and ladders for all my adult life. Most items, houses in particular, are made for tall or average height people. Once my children reached 10 years old, they were all taller than me. LOL. I'm not sure if GOT brought awareness to short people or not. It's just nice to see someone like you on the silver screen or TV. Isn't that the fucking truth?
Yeah.
Starting to see some better sex worker images and some
Just real freaking people,
real bodies and ages
and realistic computer nerds. For my whole life, computer
Yes.
nerds have been these bizarro, strange Muppet superhero creatures. They're not realistic at all.
Yeah.
And now in Silicon Valley, it's like that's
You
real.
don't enjoy every hacker movie ever?
Oh, the worst. They're all the
Angelina
worst.
Jolie is the typical hacker.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, really.
Of course.
Yeah, you can
You
keep
can tell by
those-
the Chinese food boxes she has
Yeah.
that she's a hacker.
Don't they look more like Francis from YouTube?
Yeah, they're not.
Hackers?
I mean, everyone is handsomed up on shows all the time, but at least they're now saying things that are real about computers.
I know. I feel the same way when Pedro Pascal comes on. It's really me.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
just writ large on
Of course.
the screen.
Huge Ackman.
And I'm relieved that Melissa McCarthy exists. Finally, someone with my
Yes.
sense of humor.
There you go. Yeah,
You know, big hand gestures, potty mouthing, completely
taking over in an airplane.
Yes, taking over shit.
All right, ride us out with our last feedback.
Ride your dragon through the sky.
I'm just torturing you. This is a lot of fun.
I know.
Hannah Lovelace Powell. Even further, I think Peter Dinklage has personally raised awareness. I've seen his other work, and he's just such a great actor. I think he could easily play characters without ever referencing his dwarfism. Not that he's an ambassador or role model, but his visibility lets people get past their own curiosity in their own living rooms. Perfectly said.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true.
And I love when they have actors that aren't mainstream look, ethnicity, whatever, and it has nothing to do with the plot, so it isn't mentioned.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like he's
Like
just
real
acting.
life.
Let him
Like real
act.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we'll have a short spoiler section after the music. So if you hear the music, you should turn off. If you do not want to be spoiled, we're going to talk about a couple things out of the books. And other than that, until next week, I wish I had enough poison for the whole pack of you. Okay, I don't have a lot for spoilers for the week. I guess the big thing is we're getting Oberyn versus the Mountain. HBO has actually spoiled that, so that's almost not.
Well,
really
they
a
haven't
spoiler.
called him the Viper yet.
No, but I think in the promo material they made it pretty clear he's going to be the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although they haven't called him the Viper, maybe it's just the Viper spoilage. But it's like there was a lot of complaint that HBO had spoiled.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I didn't
But
notice that.
you know, so it's gonna be great. Who cares?
Yes.
It's a good spoiler.
It's okay. It's called promotion.
But I wanted you guys because I wanted you to go ahead and spoil me because I'm just reading ahead now in Dance with Dragons and Feast for Crows. I'm about 5 or 10% in, so I'm just kind of plodding away to try and get it done by the beginning of next season. So I'm just like encountering Reek like now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So what happens with Reek? What's the Reek story?
Yeah, so he is where he is right now. And then he goes off to Moat Cailin and he convinces the Ironborn to come out and telling them that, you know, he's their prince and if they surrender, they'll survive.
Right.
And Ramsay, and I don't know if Roose is there or not, but butchers them all. And meets up with Roose and they go to occupy Winterfell.
Okay.
And Roose has this plan that he wants Theon around because they have found, and in the books it's a character that was barely in the show and I don't think ever named, but Sansa's best friend.
It's supposed to be Sansa's best friend from Winterfell,
Winterfell.
that went with her to King's Landing.
Right,
And
yeah,
the steward of Ned Stark's household was her dad. So her name was
Right.
Jane Poole. And they basically found Jane Poole and they basically say she's Arya. So what Roose is going to do is have Ramsay marry Arya and try to claim the North under the guise of this is the best claim on Winterfell because
Right.
everyone else is dead.
That's why
With the
everyone's
exception
wondering
of
if
Sansa.
And that's where I almost
Miranda might
spoiled
be.
myself, or
Yeah.
stuck my foot in my mouth, because as part of the deal, the Lannisters are obviously kind of in cahoots, and as part of the deal, they have Tommen sign a document legitimizing
Rising
Ramsay
Ramsay.
so that he becomes a Bolton.
Right.
Right. And
Well-
so go on.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, so basically Theon's there to basically be like, I grew up with this girl. She's really Arya.
Because he's the
So-
only one
He's the
alive
witness.
that will still know it, other
Right.
than Sansa. That
He'll vouch that this
Kind
is
of.
Arya.
At the
nobody
wedding-
else knows what Arya looks like.
At the wedding, he gives her away,
Right.
and there's some pretty awful scenes where he's there on the wedding night, which you don't like. Basically, makes Theon have sex with her with either just orally or with a device. I don't know. It's awful.
it's
it's
gonna
gonna
get
I
ugly. Huh?
thought he primed her with his mouth.
Yeah, so maybe that
Oh,
was just it.
the Theon with the mouth.
Yeah, so
not good.
essentially he gets into the situation now. At the same time, Roose has brought up a whole host of Northmen, many of whom know that this is not Arya. But so
Right.
it's very much on this pins and needles of like, when is it going to drop? Some of the people are supporting the Boltons for various reasons. One of the families that we haven't really been introduced to very strongly, the Manderleys, are very loyal to the Starks, but they're hidden loyal. And so there's all this sort of like tension and inner dynamics going on
In the north.
But Theon's story is at the same time, and this pulls in so much spoilage, but
Yep.
basically Mance Rayder gets caught,
Uh-huh.
and Jon and Melisandre, who's up there with Stannis,
Right.
who you know has been up there,
Right.
conspire to send him down along with some other wildling women to go to Winterfell and bring Arya back.
They have Mance do this.
Yes, it's like an undercover mission. So Mance is undercover as a bard, very much build bard, with a bunch of women.
It's a
who
bit
are
of a
watching-
career change for Mance.
It is a little bit of a career change. This is definitely where I think, Hines, the actor, was saying, I thought they wanted someone younger. And a lot of people are like, oh my God.
Right.
But anyways, he comes down and they have this whole dynamic of trying to escape with Arya.
Right.
Of course, Mance does not know it's fake Arya. He does
Right.
not know it's actually Jane Poole. And Theon slowly starts to rebel and remember who he is.
Right.
And being in Winterfell, and there's some really actually interesting dynamics.
And
with
his loyalty
scenes.
to the Starks start coming
Right.
back out.
There's this interesting scene where he has a confrontation with a hooded man, and there's a ton of theories about who this hooded man is. I have my own. But it starts to come out, and then all these people start dying in Winterfell, and there's a bunch of different ideas of who does it. But at the very end, Theon's act of defiance, the moment that Theon... And the chapters in the books are actually named Reek or the Ghost of Winterfell, and then the last chapter is actually named Theon. He helps Arya, the fake Arya, escape from Winterfell, and that is like
The beginning of his redemption.
Right, the beginning of redemption for Theon. And
Fantastic.
It's a fantastic storyline. It's awesome. It's
Yeah,
one of my
I hope
favorite
that plays
books.
And then part of the main reason people know she's not Arya is supposed to have steel gray eyes, just like Ned,
Right.
and the girl doesn't have gray eyes.
Aha. Very good. All right.
Kind
Cool.
of like Tyrion's supposed to have the two different colored eyes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for. I mean, I'm reading this ahead too, but I'm like excited to figure out what's going to happen. So it's like good. To
Yeah,
get
that storyline has so. One of the interesting things about Feast and A Dance with Dragons is there's so many. They're very. A lot of people complain about them because they're a little bit slower, and he probably could have used an editor at one point. But there's a lot of little things in there. These little mysteries. Who killed Hill at Winterfell? There's the great furry pie dynamic,
Right.
With the Manderleys. There's. Just who the hooded man is.
Do you think? I mean, I'm a little familiar with the change in tone as the book goes, as the book series goes. Does it feel like because I really feel like the show changed tone a bit across season 2 and 3 to really build up this war.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like the War of the Five Kings became
Right.
it shifted from a court mystery to a war story,
Right.
and now it's a kind of an aftermath story. And I'm liking how like some of the stuff with Jamie and Brienne and all this kind of stuff that we're getting more and more into the characters. And it's like we've seen them live through kind of a rockin' little story, and now it's really about each of their self-definitions and things like that.
No, I think very much that's what people are struggling with. When he originally planned out the books, the first 3 books were supposed to be one book.
Right.
And it was supposed to be the end of A Storm of Swords, when Tyrion finishes off Tywin and all that.
Right.
That is supposed to be like the climax of the first act.
Right.
And this Feast and Dance are definitely supposed to be
A second act.
it's definitely supposed to be the aftermath, the calm, this sort of, not denouement, because I mean it's denouement off the first climax, and where people are developing and moving and that sort of thing, and preparing for the next ramp up. It's not supposed to be as active, and I think it's actually one of the problems TV shows like Game of Thrones have, or anything that has the long extended. You even saw it a little bit with True Detective, I think, with some of the people's complaints in it, in that a good story can't ramp up constantly.
Right.
But when people watch a television show or they get books across 20 years, if it's within one story or one reading or one movie, it's very easy to do like a climax and then that
Right.
drop where the hero hits rock bottom and it's really down and then builds back up to the final climax and everything happens. And it's okay because it's within like an hour. This is like 2,000 pages of that sort of like build up and downtime and all that. And I think a lot of people get impatient with it. It'll be interesting to see how they adapt it, because you could see them trying to squash it into a season.
Yeah, well, and they're moving pretty quick through a lot of it. So
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
at a pace. I don't feel like the story is too slow right now compared to what the elements are in the books. Some people are complaining about the pace of the show a bit, but it seems like it's every episode things are changing. We're not.
Yeah, I don't. People that complain about the pace of the show, I'm just confused.
Yeah, we're not.
It moves.
There's no fly episode like in Breaking Bad.
No,
we don't have like Jamie chasing a fly around.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how any of these
Sept.
people that watch this show and claim it's slow watch anything else on television.
Exactly.
Maybe Scandal. I think that's the only show that has a pace
That's a little
like
faster.
that's faster.
Yeah, or Glee, perhaps. Yeah, a little bit
No,
faster.
there's been a lot of Brian Cogley
Dawson's
interviews
Creek,
everywhere this week.
Right.
He's like popping up on podcasts. He's doing, written interviews. And in one of the many things I read or listened to, he was talking about how like season 1, once they got down to editing them, they were like 35-minute episodes.
Right.
And so a lot of those extra scenes in season 1 that are now paying off were fluff that they interjected.
Padding to make sure.
Well,
that
indeed, they were
but
all
then
dialogue
but
because
they
they
really-
had no money.
Yeah.
But they really helped because they were like, okay, what can we do with these existing sets to fill these up?
More breakfast scenes.
But they really helped later.
Not more breakfast.
Let's have them talk about power.
Let's talk about power again. Yeah. What is? I had a whole thing. It's like, what is power? Well, it's work divided by time.
Yes. Well, they found their sweet spot, I think, when they're writing in terms of the little moments between characters that don't have point of view in the books.
Right.
Like
Right.
I think they struggle sometimes with trying to add content, complete content into storylines that are existing point of view characters. Like the whole Crashers Keep thing or this Yara Theon thing, just like
Or Varys.
they're not bad, but they like. It always feels like when you think about it too much, you get a little bit of the Prometheus action.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, that doesn't.
Varys and Littlefinger have a much stronger presence in the story.
Right.
You know, just moment to moment.
But when they have those, whether it's like, the like the Cersei Roberts scene, or even this Varys Oberyn.
Varys
scene,
Oberyn, yeah.
Like where they're almost asides, when they're not trying to advance plot, they're just trying to give us a moment. They do it really well. Like it's definitely a nice ad.
They
I
add
like.
a lot.
Yeah. I'm glad they're not limited to the point of view, for sure. So, all right, kids. So we will see you next week for what will hopefully be a marvelous episode.
Can't believe you'll need 4 more.
So not even, is it 4? Yeah, 4 more.
It's 4 more.
Four
Next week, the ending will be good.
Yes. So it'll be some awesomeness.
It'll be kind of sad.
Yeah, it'll be sad. It'll be bittersweet, but it'll be
we just
hopefully
got-
nicely done.
We just got Crazy back,
Yeah.
and we're gonna lose Crazy.
Oh,
So sad.
So sad. All right, everybody. Next week.